Hey, hello there. It's March. It's Jerry. This is my March monthly moment, and I'm going to dive right into it. There's a lot going on. This has been a wild year so far, as you probably know. I have some stuff up here I want to share with you about some successes we've had. I'm going to have another slide with some examples of some things that people do to potentially get themselves in trouble. And then the last slide here is kind of a comparison of a company that was trying to get our assets to manage themselves. Gave us some advice last year that was absolutely wrong and kind of the way we do things. So let's dive right into it. Obviously, we're in Iran. I don't know if it's a war, an operation, a mission. I'm not sure what they're calling it or what it is. Obviously, it's horrible for the people that are involved directly, but we have to look at it, how it affects us economically. And just so you know, we made some slight changes going into this year. Portfolios are a bit more conservative than their baseline, knowing there was going to be some volatility, as I've discussed in prior videos. So let's just look at some things. You may not be able to see this perfectly, but I just want to point this out because I've had some people call me. One person in particular said, I think I'm going to have to go on food stamps the way things are going, and couldn't be further from the truth. And when I talk to people about this, I think there's some surprises. So this year, as of yesterday, today's Thursday, I don't even know the date, whatever the heck it is, but as of yesterday, the stock market, as you can maybe see here, was down 2.96%. So that's the first thing. I think people overall think that the market's actually down worse than that. It's done a lot of this, and obviously in the middle of March, we'd like to be up, but that can't always happen. But the reality is it's down less than 3% year to date, even with all the crazy news out there and everything that's going on. But more importantly, our portfolio that we directly compare to the stock market in the same time period is up 2.9%. So almost a 6% difference between where the market is and where we are in a corresponding portfolio. If you look at all the rest of our portfolios that we manage, what you'll notice is most of them are, actually all of them, are actually positive. One of our more aggressive portfolios is down a bit, but our core portfolios are all positive. And looking at this, what's called the Morningstar Balanced 50-50 blend, which would be something we would compare a portfolio to that's not 100% in the stock market. That's actually down 0.94. And then a more aggressive version of that is down 1.75. So if you look at this, we're extremely happy, hopefully you are too, that even in a negative market, all of our portfolios are still positive, and our portfolio that's directly compared to the stock market, because it is 100% individual stocks, is about 6% ahead of the stock market year to date. So we're extremely happy about that. So what gets a lot of people in trouble, next slide, is chasing things that are hot. And I've talked about this before, and the most recent one has been gold and silver. And yes, gold and silver have had an amazing run up, probably more than they should have based on fundamentals and things, and you know, we have some exposure to them. But a lot of people very, very recently have said, I think I want to sell everything and put it in gold. I've heard that a number of times. I think we should get a whole bunch of gold. I think we should get a whole bunch of silver. Now, when do people typically say that? Well, here's a visual. This is gold recently. This is gold now. So obviously it's kind of fallen off a cliff a little bit. This is silver prices, kind of a similar story, kind of fallen off a cliff a little bit. When did most people say that they want it? Honestly, right around here, right at the beginning of the year. So this is very, very typical when anything, whether it's AI or gold or pharmaceutical stocks or just any industry in general, cryptocurrency for a long time, when it was flying, everybody wanted to get into it. And it's typically too late at the point that everybody wants to get into it. We have a kind of, I don't want to call it a fun rule, a general rule. When everybody starts calling us saying they want something, we typically know it's time to get out of that thing because the general public usually reacts late. It's FOMO, fear of missing out. When something's taking off, everybody wants to get into it. When everybody gets into it, it drives the price above where it should be. And typically after that, there's some sort of a collapse. Now, I'm not saying gold and silver won't do well. I'm not saying don't get them. I'm just using this as an example of how many people during this time period were at that place where they said things like, I think we should sell everything and put it in gold. How well would that have worked out? So we're never going to do that. We like to stay diversified. We like to keep some logic behind the portfolio. We're never going to chase what's doing well. We want to have a part of it and sometimes maybe a little more of it, but we're never going to go all in on something just because it's doing well. Now, we would love to have it before it starts doing well, and we do that a lot. We've had some exposure to this, but it's never the right time. Well, I don't want to say never. It's typically not the right time to get into something at the time when the volume is going crazy and the prices are going crazy. So we had a company, large company, I won't mention their name. They come to us once in a while, probably about every year, and say, we want to analyze your portfolios and see how you're doing. Their objective in that is to get us to use them instead of managing our own assets. Well, last year, they looked at our portfolios and said, we think you're overweighted here, and we think you have too much in this, and you need to get out of that, and blah, blah. They gave us a bunch of recommendations. So what ended up happening, without going into all the details, is we stayed diversified the way we were with some slight changes. Now, you probably can't read this, but just know these are some of the charts we look at, and we have cash, stock, US, over here, defensive, common stock, or services, industrials, energy, technology, North America, Asia, different things that are in the portfolio. And we will make slight shifts, but what they were recommending was a big, dramatic shift out of one particular sector because it wasn't in favor at that time. Now, we stayed there because what's not in favor oftentimes is soon to be in favor, and that's what asset allocation does for you. You won't always be in the right place everywhere, but as you cycle in and out of things, you can come to the right place and make some good gains. One of the places that they recommended we get all of our money out of is actually one of the top performers this year. We chose not to do that. So it's just another example of extreme moves getting you in trouble and trying to predict the future in something that is so unpredictable. So this is kind of the makeup of one of our it's our conservative growth portfolio, something we use a lot. One of the portfolios that has a large portion of assets in it. Our all-stock portfolio probably has the most still, but this is a big one for us. And again, just an example of how we manage money in a way that we're never going to try to chase. We're never going to try to make a dramatic move to avoid something completely. We will make small shifts. We will stay allocated. We will try to get ahead of something if we can and make a little bit of a bigger shift over to it. But when these big companies that say that they're so knowledgeable and they have all these experts and they have hundreds of employees and analysts are trying to get you to make moves that are extremely dramatic, I don't know why. That's their philosophy. But ultimately, had we done that, we would have been negative this year. So we didn't listen to them. We're going to continue managing money the way we manage money. We appreciate their input, but we think we have a system in place that works. And it's working well this year. As I said, markets are down. All of our portfolios, other than a couple of our most aggressive ones, are positive in a down year. So remember, it's always about the overall financial plan. It's always about the time frame you have. Things are struggling right now. We'll get through it. If you need your money this year, we need to talk about that. If you don't need all your money for a period of time, well, you know what then? Let's let the plan play itself out. Let us make the moves we make. There's a couple big things coming down the pike here. One was interest rates. That was yesterday. Interest rates remain level. The Fed chair said he's concerned about inflation. Jobs were flat. Inflation was flat, but he still has concerns. Didn't lower the rates. The markets came down yesterday. It wasn't that big of a deal. Today was a little bit better. We'll get through that like everything else. So the big one coming up later this year, as I've discussed with a lot of people, is the midterm elections, and not politically, but policy. If Congress shifts from Republican to Democrat, that'll make some major changes with some major policies. We're not sure how that'll work out, but ultimately it will create some turmoil. So we know it, we're ahead of it. We have a plan for it. We'll do what we can do to get through it. And at some point, things will level off again and we'll start taking the ride that we enjoy taking. So if you have any questions at all, give me a call, reach out. I'm happy to help in any way I can. Hopefully that helped a little bit with a little insight. And hopefully it opened your eyes a little bit if you were in a place where you thought we were losing a lot of money this year, because good news, we're not. Talk to you soon.